Hey, Wrestling World, keep up with the culture and listen to this episode in full on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Make sure to give us a follow on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook and fall under the influence.
This wouldn't be cultural influence without going over the hottest stories in all of professional wrestlings in the form of a hot tag. Now, as of this recording, Dolph Ziggler is now in New Japan Pro Wrestling. You know, I didn't really realize how maybe it's just me, but that title looked good on Dolph. Man.
It did.
It was like a sight to see because we had talked about it, Dolph being pretty much a WWE guy forever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so seeing that scene was just it was very symbolic to me.
Yeah, and one thing I got to say about Dolph is you forget how long Dolph has been wrestling, period, just because the guy still looks great. He might be the white R-Truth.
He
might be the white R-Truth, bro, because Dolph Ziggler does not age. How old is Dolph Ziggler?
Dolph might be in his early 40s. I know he's in his 40s.
Crazy, man. And Dolph about to go to New Japan and get it in over there like he ain't missed a step. So.
Yeah, and the New Japan style, I mean, me personally, I can't imagine being 40 years old and learning a whole new style of wrestling in a whole nother country and stuff like that. But you know what? I mean, I guess it's flexible, and you know what I'm saying?
I'm sure he's familiar with it. I think Dolph can, blend in with those guys real easily and make somebody look good,
For sure, man. So Dolph, I'm excited to see where you do.
I can only imagine how a wrestler that has wrestled for WWE for so long can get their love of the profession sapped away from them.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's exactly what I had figured out. That's what I thought when it was announced that he was released. Because in one of his last contract negotiations with WWE, he had it negotiated that he can leave the building earlier before the show ends and stuff like that, because I believe that there's a hidden rule that if you're a talent, you stay there until the last match happens and stuff like that. And so Dolph had that negotiated in his contract, and for me personally, I thought that was one of the first signs of Dolph might be getting tired of this. He might be getting that burnt out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I bet you he was tired of being used like shit too.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I bet if he got the run he deserved, he wouldn't have felt that way. But from what I understand, Dolph was also handsomely paid well. So I mean, hey, it's a business, right?
It's a business. That's exactly what it is.
You pay me, I do a job.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of money, let's go ahead and talk about this match that might be the money maker of all money makers. Rock has appeared on Monday Night Raw. It was built that we would see a former WWE champion on Raw. And first wanted to say I am a huge fan of the modern day Maharaja, so they didn't really, you know what I'm saying, fail, because he is a former WWE champion, might I add. But the surprise got double sized because we also had two former WWE.
Very true. And listen, I'm just here right now to let y'all know we unhindering gender in 2024.
You fail me.
What happened in gender cannot keep happening for the rest of this year. I'm not gonna stand for it. He's not gonna stand for it.
I damn sure not gonna stand for it, man.
Gender ain't gonna stand for it. Facts. So y'all just better start putting some respect on his name because he held it down.
You right. You best believe. I love his work with Indus Shear. You know what I'm saying? Seeing him in a managerial role. Like, hey, man, Jinder, do your thing. You feel me? Share the ring with The Rock. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hold your own with him.
He was a great heat magnet. He did what he was supposed to do.
Like, you get used to a Rock's appearance now, but you don't really hear nothing like that hardly.
Yeah. And I'm loving this slowly coming together storyline of mad people coming for Roman.
Yeah.
AJ wants Roman. Randy wants Roman. LA Knight wants Roman. And now Rock wants Roman.
Punk said something about him too.
Punk did too, but Punk's obviously on a different trajectory now. But these are legit four people that are looking to, come at Roman's head. And it's just really refreshing to see after spending the last 6 months acting like that championship didn't exist.
Yeah, and then it's interesting that you say that, because what was the number one thing that we heard last year? Oh my gosh, man, there's nobody to face Roman. Yeah. And you literally just named like four guys.
Yeah, off top, like, and they all want Roman, like, and they're saying it. They're late because like Roman ran around on SmackDown for a while with nobody really acknowledging him, and
pun intended.
Right.
but like it was like people, nobody wanted to get to the championship. But also I got it. You know, when they had the whole theory explaining why he cashed in on Seth Rollins when he was the United States champion. Like, I can't get close to Roman.
Yeah, I can't touch you. Yeah,
I don't want to get involved with the bloodline. Like, that was a good way to kind of explain people not wanting to challenge Roman because it just came with too much smoke. You know what I'm saying?
True.
If you get caught in the chimney, you better learn how to breathe. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I'm saying like never before. Like never before, man. But there's been reports of it going to the Elimination Chamber. I mean, like I said, Triple H is. I feel like when Triple H books himself in a corner, I feel like us as fans, it's kind of became a point to where, like, yeah, we love seeing the show, but I feel like it's also became its own spectacle in seeing how Triple H is going to book himself out of his corner, man. Because, you know, everyone's been told, finish the story with Cody, blah, blah, blah. And so, like, now people are saying it's all but guaranteed that we're going to get Rock and Roman at Elimination Chamber. I got my 2 cents in, but what's your take on that first? Is it legitimate? And talk your shit, man.
I think it's pretty cool if they do come back and Rock wrestles in Australia. You know what I'm saying? Because that doesn't impede upon the Cody storyline. Because I'm still very interested in seeing how Cody gets back to Roman.
Yes.
Does that involve an Elimination Chamber win? Does that involve another Royal Rumble win? Like, how do we get back to that? And then we also have Rock fighting Roman that's not going to be at WrestleMania, which is great because it doesn't ruin the WrestleMania main event. You know what I'm saying? And it, I don't know, it builds up a little more suspense, and it gives me a peace of mind because I'm at the point now where I don't want to see Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania.
You're at that point?
No, I don't. Because Rock beating Roman doesn't help wrestling. Roman is so big now. Roman is such a...
It doesn't help wrestling, but it helps money. It helps WWE.
It does. It does. But Roman needs to get beat by a full-timer. By a full-time employee. He does.
And we all know Rock ain't whooping that ass.
He's not. He's not. You know, I just feel like it would be a waste if we spend 3 years of a championship reign for Roman to get beat by a 48-year-old part-time movie star. We already have our United States Championship on a part-time social media star.
Not too much on Logan Paul, man.
Not too much on Logan Paul. I like what Big Logan's doing. I do. But we can't have both of those titles occupied by people that aren't there every single week.
But a match of that magnitude happening not on American soil. I hate to sting. I sound conservative when I say that. Yeah, but a match not happening like that on American soil and not at WrestleMania. Yeah. You don't think that there's some like
because they're selling their product to other markets, and by other markets I mean other countries. If Puerto Rico got a Bad Bunny match, Australia gets a Rock match, you know, there's going to be other countries that are going to buy for WWE events because they feel like they could get something of that magnitude. You know what I'm saying? You're selling your brand internationally.
I guess
when
so.
You do stuff like that. Because the people in America are going to go. You know, like that's just what it's going to be.
Bro, I'm not about to go to... I mean, like I said, I love Rock. Rock's by far, he's my top 5. But, man, I'm not about to go to no Australia to watch.
Oh, no, yeah. This is going to drive the people in Australia. Like I said, it's going to make WWE a bigger deal in other countries, other markets outside of the U.S. And so I think that's a really big thing, and I think it's a really smart thing. And also one thing that I think everybody should feel like is that match doesn't need a title. I'm just stumbling all over the place. But the Rock versus Roman match does not need a title. They already have a title. The head of the table. Because some fuck shit could happen at in Perth, in Australia. Whatever that happens, we can go to WrestleMania night 1 and 2. CM Punk finally gets his night 2, it could be Cody and Roman, and maybe Rock helps Cody win, and then that leads to a Rock and Roman match at SummerSlam.
Mercedes Monè, she is I guess she hasn't been in no contact with WWE, and I guess she isn't in contact with AEW for what that's worth.
Literally nobody knows. Nobody, like everybody was saying she was supposed to show up at AEW last night after saying she was supposed to show up at Raw on Monday. Like, nobody knows. So if she wasn't on AEW last night, shout outs to Deonna Purrazzo, who also debuted. You know what I'm saying?
great addition to the women's roster over there. I think they're going to kill it. But if she wasn't there, I can't see another time where she's just going to pop up before the Royal Rumble, right?
In AEW?
Yeah, there's not another show in AEW before the Royal Rumble where I'd be like, oh, Mercedes could pop up there, right?
Nope.
I mean, she could technically come next week, but I don't feel like that would be grandiose fashion because everybody was expecting them last night.
Yeah, I guess true. Now, I just also want to give shout outs to, because leaks happen, and I mean, maybe Sasha Banks is just good at keeping her shit on the wraps, man.
Sasha Banks is a legendary troll on the wrestling internets. In between her Facebook stories, and not Facebook stories, her Instagram stories, her tweets. Yeah. Mercedes is going to keep everybody
happy holidays.
Talking,
I guess I didn't really know too much about his backstage, how he was backstage, because I was so interested in what he did in the ring. It was a Velveteen Dream, man. He issued a big apology. You know what I'm saying?
This is my sorry for 2024. I ain't gonna mess up no more.
Man, but as more and more reports come out about my man Velveteen, man, I love Velveteen Dream, man. And I just didn't know what to believe. And and I think as he points out in his video, man, that he acknowledged that WWE did stand by him when all of this stuff first started happening, because right when the investigation first started happening and stuff like that, WWE kept him on NXT programming, and Triple H had said, hey, we're still investigating. There's as it stands to be now, there's nothing yet. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? And it was just a snowball effect. It was just becoming bigger and bigger, man, to the point where WWE was like, man, we gotta let you go, man. And I think we've talked about him on Cultural Influence before. Yeah,
it just sucks because he's an example of wasted potential, wasted talent, And whether you believe the internet stories about, the allegations that were, had no type of, allegations or convictions or any type of evidence that could really stick to him, what really got him out of there was his backstage attitude. There was rumors of, drug usage, bad behavior issues. Like, he seemed to just be a little troubled during his run in WWE outside of the, less than savory stories that came out that have not been proven. And I just think it's another example of somebody losing everything for nothing.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because I'm not going to sit here and say those allegations weren't nasty, but they weren't proven,
Yeah, they weren't, yeah.
And I just feel like Velveteen should get it. He shouldn't be robbed of another opportunity at another wrestling company.
He shouldn't, man. So best wishes to Velveteen Dream. We pulling for you at Cultural Influence. Let's talk about the guys that's up in the power, that plays a role in calling the shots and who leaves and who doesn't stay, which is Kevin Dunn. Kevin Dunn is by far one of the hidden faces in WWE, but he's one of the things that make WWE the powerhouse that it is. He calls a lot of the shots. He's Vince McMahon's right-hand man, and apparently he's leaving WWE.
That's crazy. It's a real changing of the guard moment. Mm-hmm. Kevin Dunn has been with WWE for over 30 years at this point. Mm-hmm. He's part of the reason why the WWE production looks the way that it does, the way that is, presented the way that it is. Kevin Dunn was very instrumental in that, and I just think his contributions cannot be minimized because you don't like the way the camera was shaking and stuff like that. Kevin Dunn changed the way.
It was a broadcast, man. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He did. And whoever's going to come in his role after him is going to try to do what he did, his job, Like, even the guy that trained under him directly that went to AEW quit.
Really?
Yeah. So I wonder if he's going back to WWE to maybe take that position. I don't know. But Kevin Dunn's contributions cannot be ignored to pro wrestling. But we also have to acknowledge that it did become a hindrance after a while. I'm really happy the shaky camera thing has kind of died down, Like when Retribution was around. There's a few things that Kevin Dunn was, not the greatest at. But his good outweighed his bad for sure. And I just think 30 years in the game needs to be commended. So shout out to him.
Let's go ahead and put over Kevin Dunn, man.
Let's go. 30 years is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, man. They didn't put over. I didn't really realize, like, seeing, you get used to watching WWE for so long, and like when it was announced that Vince would be stepping away, I didn't really think I would see too much of a change in the product, but I have.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if I'm going to see that with Kevin Dunn leaving.
Probably not, because
That's what I was
like
wondering.
I said, because whoever's going to come in after him is going to try to do what he did.
Okay, cool. So we looking for the next Kevin Dunn. But let's go ahead and end this segment out with some love to New Japan. It looks like Hiroshi Tanahashi has been named. He's going to be transitioning to a director. And as a head director in New Japan Pro Wrestling, he's been named the president, and he's also going to continue to be wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Shit, this is like when Lil Wayne became the president of Cash Money.
Hey, for real. I was also thinking of when Triple H was becoming the COO and still wrestling.
Bro, in 2024, we have mad wrestlers taking over the game. You got Triple H running WWE, Raw and SmackDown. You got
Shawn Michaels
running NXT. Yeah. And now you got Hiroshi Tanahashi being the president of New Japan, bro. Like, you know, just so y'all know, there's room out after wrestling, y'all. You know what I'm saying?
There's an afterlife, man. Yeah.
There's an afterlife after wrestling, bro.
I love to see it, man, because as we watch in these sport documentaries and as in these shows that highlight sports, man, when the athlete is not, when that ability is to not perform and it's taken away from them or they have to leave it, it's really hard to stimulate yourself back in society, because the one thing that you've practiced and that you've done a good majority of your life, you can't really do that no more. And it's really hard to kind of go back into that, man. And seeing guys like Hiroshi Tanahashi do that, because I mean, Hiroshi Tanahashi still looks good and he can still get the job done any minute in the ring and stuff like that. So I'm really also, I wonder what does this mean for his New Japan Pro Wrestling appearances and stuff like that. Like, are there going to be more value to his matches? Because I mean,
I wonder if that's going to play into his in-ring, I don't know, gimmick or whatever.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
So that's the excitement for that, man.
Appear to be in this changing of the guard moment as well too. Whereas the office is kind of shaking things up. It's time to get ready for the next generation and how we're going to go forward. You know, so it's going to be really cool to see how New Japan navigates going into the second half of this decade. You know,
most definitely, yeah, man.